Welcome to Hashtag Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. This is, you know what, Paul? To quote the great philosopher Aaron Lewis, it's been a while.
Has been a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, like I said, it's been a while for Hashtag Sports, where we are trending now and trending later, where we cover everything from salary cap to snap counts. We'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Our official sponsor for tonight is going to be Mr. Rogers Homes. If you look in the description of this video, you're going to see Mr. Rogers Homes, the top 1% realtor in Arizona. If you're thinking about relocating to the home of the Valley of the Sun, please contact Mr. Rogers. Tell him Paul and Mario sent you. Also, you can catch us on all of our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we're also on iTunes and Spotify. So make sure that you check all of those out throughout the week for any late breaking news. Paul has been absolutely on fire with his hashtag shorts. He's actually keeping up with everything, and he's just knocking it out of the park, from JJ Watt to the Hyde's extension. He's just knocking it all down for you. And he's the only one that I'm gonna give him his due, because he's been working his tail off. Only one who's in the comment section. So if you guys throw a shot at me, you and Paul will have a very nice laugh, and then you'll move on. But for tonight's episode, we are going to be discussing a lot of things, talking about the Hyde extension, talking about where the Buffalo Bills could possibly go in the NFL draft, and, pro days, a lot of other things going on. We're in March, so this is where the new league year for the NFL starts. So a lot of those contracts that are coming up that are fully guaranteed come March 17th, as Chris Berman would say. So, Paul, first of all, how you been, buddy? It's been a little while since we've done one of these live streams.
I know it has been a little bit. Would you do me a favor? Just check the YouTube stream. I know that we're on Facebook, because I see it going through restream on Facebook. Just check the YouTube stream real quick, because I just don't have, the chat's not popping or anything. So maybe it's me.
Not at all. It's just really weird. I don't know why. It says we're online.
Yeah, it says waiting for
restreams.
hashtag at 8:50, which was 3 minutes ago.
All right, I'll try to work on that.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
Because it says that we're on Restream, so that's we got 13 eyes on us.
Yeah, but we're not. It's not going through YouTube. At least not that I can see. Can you pull up the YouTube and check it?
I'm pulling up the YouTube right now, sir.
Perfect.
So we'll see
it's a weird time this year, right? It's a weird time of the season. Lots going on, and I think there's a few things that as Bills fans we all kind of need to know. One of them is pro day schedule. That this offseason is going to be different than every other offseason that we've ever seen. There's no scouting combine. There's a lot of different things that are going to be happening this offseason that are totally not comparable to anything we've ever seen before. So paying attention to pro days, there's not going to be just one big scouting day. They're going to be broken out over the course of about a month. So there's a lot to follow here. And this draft is going to be kind of all over the place. And the free agent market is not going to be much different. I mean, we are talking about a very, very funky free agent market. Yep, and Apex says we're all good on YouTube. Yep, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good
for some reason the behind the scenes chat and the behind the scenes link is not cooperating. So we are going live. We are watching it with you guys. So thank you guys for that.
All right, beautiful.
All good on YouTube, Apex. All right, so hey, what's up, Daniel Garries, Grendel, Michael, Paul, everybody, the usual suspects here. B Lightning coming in. Sup, guys? What's going on? Yes, it's good to see you guys once again. It's been a while since we've been doing this, but like Paul said, it's a very weird year. It's going to be a very weird year because of what happened, obviously, with the pandemic. Not a lot of guys that you get to see, and that all being intertwined. It's a new place for Buffalo because they're coming into this as the big dog in the house. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They have the lowest salary cap of anybody in the AFC East, which as you know, you got to take care of your house first. You got to take care of the AFC East first. And then you have to slowly progress throughout the rest of your conference and, of course, the NFL. But I just want to give a quick little breakdown of numbers because this is where a lot of people want to go check out things. We always preach and we always try to talk to everyone about overthecap.com. It's a great resource if you want to check out certain things as far as salary caps and what's going on with the NFL and what's going on with your team. It will currently say that the Buffalo Bills rookie pool says $5.3 million. And that's basically what you're going to have to need to sign your rookie picks. However, it's not a straight calculation that way, okay? Because obviously some players will leave your team, some players will come onto your team. The rookie deals will replace certain players that had their deals expired and whatnot. So when all calculations are said and done, it's actually on the page as well. The Bills actually only need $1.4 million for the rookie pool, given the contracts that will be released and the contracts that will be signed. And I think they're at 1.9 right now. I think the last time I checked it, they're at 1.9. So they have some work to do prior to the start of the new league year, as far as that goes. But did you want to go and talk about Mr. Hyde being staggered once again, as we talked about on a previous episode?
Yeah, so there was a lot going on this week, and a lot of there's a lot of movement around the NFL all the time, and this year is just going to be that on steroids, right? It's just going to be that. I mean, it is what it is. So Micah Hyde extends on his current deal. So we're going to add 2 years to Micah Hyde. We're leaving 2021 alone. 2022, we've got a now 2-year extension for Micah Hyde, and we've talked about over the last couple of years of, you got to be careful with how you approach your contracts, right?
Yes.
Because you got to cycle them the right way. You have to make sure that, you're not phasing out an entire position at one time. And it's sometimes, things happen, a guy gets injured or you cut a player, because of an off the field issue and you have to cycle a full position at once. But Buffalo has no interest in doing that. So adding 2 years to Micah Hyde means that you're going to get the Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde show from 2021 and 2022. That tandem is together. They're not going to be separated until at least 2023. It's just from the contracts, the way they're structured, there's just no way you're going to say goodbye to that. I think that's music to the ears of a lot of folks. A lot of Bills fans absolutely love Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, and there was no reason to think about revisiting that position.
No. And
financially, you look at what you're spending there. Sure. Are you spending a little bit more than some other NFL teams at those two positions? Yeah, but they also played 100% of snaps through the last 3 years. These guys, they don't leave the field. So yeah, you pay them, right?
Can you name another tandem that has been as productive as those two guys back
or
there?
Together this.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about, I mean, if I know we'll get to the crux of the discussion that we're going to talk about as far as Micah, what the signing of Micah Hyde actually says. And then Paul has a great topic for you guys. We always like to talk about, well, how are you going to equip this offense eventually when Brian Daboll leaves? Well, that could be the same for the other side of the ball, ladies and gentlemen. Leslie Frazier, we've been saying it for a couple of years now. Give this guy a shot at some NFL team again. I mean, I just think Leslie Frazier deserves a shot as a head coach somewhere. If he leaves, then you still got the two quarterbacks back there. You know what I mean? For the next couple of years, if he happens to take off after this year. So I think it's a great signing. However, the twist that Paul put on this bad boy with the Micah Hyde signing, I absolutely love. Paul, can you tell the people your twist on this?
See, it's funny because normally this is dangerous road for us to travel because Mario goes, Paul, tell everybody what you think about this. What you told me. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I do actually remember this one. If you're going to keep Hyde and Poyer together, Mario alluded to part of that point is, if you're going to be changing defensive coordinators, it's quite a gift you're given when you have that tandem together,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That's a nice gift to get. But also you're going to invest money in that position, which means you're probably having to save money somewhere else. And wouldn't the easiest thing to do would be to bring in a couple new linebackers via the draft. And again, you're going to have that safety blanket of Hyde and Poyer together. This tells me that you're going to be addressing the linebacker position early and often in this draft and not necessarily pursuing free agents for it because you're spending money at the free safety and safety positions for a reason, right? You want to keep that tandem together because you don't want to sacrifice that grouping together, one, and two, those two together make your rookie linebacker better. That's it. They make your linebacking group better. And if you're going to be bringing in rookies, which it looks like they're going to have to this draft, because you're likely not going to re-sign Milano, the depth behind him isn't phenomenal. It just makes sense. If you're going to be drafting linebackers, this is the move you make. It makes total sense.
Not so fast, my friend. I don't think so.
What?
Not so fast. I think for the previous reason
You're
that
gonna take the other side of this?
I want to take the other side of this because you know what? There may be people that listen to this or watch this that take the other side, Paul.
Your funeral. All
My
right,
funeral.
let's go.
What better than a rookie first round draft pick CB2? What better present for him to have than Trey, Hyde, and Poyer to have him move along?
This is the wrong argument to make with
Why
me.
is it the wrong argument? Why is it?
Because we got Dane Jackson on the team.
I know
Didn't
we have
you
Dane
hear
Jackson.
Brandon Bean? Bean was like, "Oh yeah, Dane Jackson was impressive."
Oh,
Right.
so they extended Hyde because they want Dane Jackson as a CB2. I'm sorry. Continue. No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No. I just try to take a little bit of a different perspective on this because, okay, obviously we're in agreement on this, Paul. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the heck they're going to do. I mean, you and I have talked about the Bills for years and years and years. Okay. We were doing draft discussions in November. Like we were, this is what happens with the Bills, and it's because they were just the drought. Everybody knows what happened, but we're coming at it now from a perspective where, what is going on? You know, how do you stay on top of the AFC East Mountain and compete get back to the AFC Championship game, maybe go to the Super Bowl? Okay, what do they have to do? All right, I don't know what they're going to do in the draft. We had a discussion on a previous episode where we decided to take both ends where you said you had the Buffalo Bills from the 30th pick going up. I have from the 30th pick going back. I may be changing my perspective on that now because if they stayed at 30 and took a CB2, I think that's going to be the hill I die on in this offseason, Paul. I think that's the hill I'm going to die on because you look around the league. You look at what you have to contend with in order to win games, in order to progress through the playoffs. What do you have to do? If the Kansas City game didn't tell us what the Buffalo Bills had to do to compete is cover. Taking a number one corner opposite Trey White, a bona fide, nothing against the corners that they've had, nothing against Dane Jackson, nothing against anyone else that they've had over there in that CB2, but they've tried it with the patchwork with Norman. It didn't work. They've tried it with an undrafted free agent. Didn't work. They tried it with Dane Jackson. Every once in a while, they were playing that game, pulling him up from the practice squad. They were protecting him. I understand that.
Yep.
But if they get a bona fide corner, number one corner, be Lightning. Yes, they'll go 9-7. They'll go 9-7-1. Now, my point is this. Well, look at that secondary now. A number one draft pick, lockdown corner, across from a number one draft pick, lockdown corner, Hyde and Poyer in the back end. Do you really need a stud linebacker at that point? Because you know what teams are going to do.
Well, actually, Grendel said, did we even blitz? I know they're making a point that we should draft a running back. There's a lot of points that are being made there.
Yes.
But the Bills, and this stat might surprise people, the Bills blitzed the 9th most in the NFL last year.
Wow.
It's a surprising number, right?
Yes.
Given the production, it's a
is
surprising
this a
number.
PFF stat? Because they
This is Pro Football Reference. Pro Football Reference lists the Bills as the 9th most blitz percentage team in the NFL, which I think really is going to surprise people. And even Joe from Believers Talk says, if we're not drafting, on draft day, drafting somebody in the trenches, I'll be annoyed. And I think there's a valid point. I think there's a valid point, but they blitzed a lot.
They did
last year, right?
They did.
And normally blitzing teams, and you could kind of speak to this, right? When a team blitzes a lot, why do they blitz, right?
Either you're not generating pressure with the front four. You're not generating pressure. Or, I mean, they didn't face a lot of rookie quarterbacks, did they? Usually you want to blitz the rooks. You want to give them the welcome to the NFL moment. You want to throw him off his game. You want to get a quarterback off his spot. If you want to rush with 4, I know I'm kidding around here, but if you want to rush with 4 and you want to try to get a quarterback off of his spot, if you're not doing that with the 4, you have to try to manufacture pressure in other ways. Some people call it blitzing. Some people call it, you bring a couple guys down in the box. We saw Poyer do that every once in a while when Milano was out. You saw AJ Klein start to come off the edge, the same edge that Trent Murphy was on. You started to see them do twists and stunts in the middle with the defensive tackles. They were trying to do a bunch of different things. And to your point, saying that they blitzed the 9th most in the NFL, they weren't generating that pressure. The problem with generating that pressure is most of the time you have to play man behind it. If you don't have the horses to cover the guys in the back, it's going to be a long day. And we saw what happened with this team when they had to blitz and they couldn't cover. It was a train wreck. So
Right. And the Bills, I don't want to make it sound like the Bills, were ineffective with their blitz percentage, but they were middle of the road in sacks. They were middle of the road in QB knockdowns. Like they were middle of the road. Well, actually, they were near the bottom of the league in hurrying percentages. Right. So when it got home, but that was it. Right. Like, so do you need to revisit that position? Yes. Can you revisit the defensive end position at 30th in the draft? No, you can't. You can't revisit that position at 30th in the draft. It's the numbers tell us the last 4 to 5 years. And there's an article up on HTag Sports or HTag. What's our website? HTagsports.com.
HTagsports.com. Yep.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Whatever.
So there's an article up on HTagsports.com.
There's links everywhere.
that walk through the difference between a top 10 pick and everything else.
That's a great article.
In the NFL draft. It's interesting because the numbers are stagnant. Like it is not even close. A top 10 defensive end produces everybody else from 11th through 50th. They're all the same. It's the value's all the same. The production's all the same. So it's really, really a funky position to draft. But there's a lot of great players in this draft. We could take a look at Zaven Collins. I really like Zaven Collins. There's a lot of great linebackers. There's a super deep linebacker class. So if you're going to invest in linebacker, this is the draft to do it in my opinion. Right. But maybe I'm wrong there. Like it's not always the best pick. It's a scary pick, right? If you're drafting linebackers, they have to start for you, right? We're not talking getting a 5th round linebacker and him starting. That this coaching staff has proven that's not how they do it. They don't do it by drafting a 5th round player and then they start. If you're a 1st round draft pick, you're probably going to start, but anything else, you're sharing snaps until eventually you break through. They did it with Milano. That's what they do is if you're not a 1st or 2nd round pick, you're probably not starting.
Yeah, that has been if we can go on any type of pattern that they have, that's the type of pattern that they have. Your 1st, 2nd round pick, you're gonna get your reps. You're gonna get in there. You're gonna do this and that and the third. As far as the statistics you brought up about the edge rushers, I thought that was fascinating, but it also speaks to the system that they go into. I mean, if we could take a step back for a second, we've said this many, many times. It's Frazier's defense. However, it's under the watchful eye of Sean McDermott. I don't remember Vernon Butler having too much communication with Frazier prior to Buffalo.
True.
I don't remember Star Latulele having too much, we can go down the list of the names. You talk about AJ Klein, all these guys that are going on. It's Frazier's defense, yes, but it's under the watchful eye of McDermott. McDermott typically, speaking of McDermott, is his led defenses over his career, with the exception of Julius Peppers. I haven't seen too many edge rusher guys that have been stat monsters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they're just role players at those positions. The D tackles are the horses that get the big money, the top picks, so they can keep bodies off of your other top pick, which is the linebacker. They already have those things. They already have your top pick linebacker. They tried bringing in former 1st round picks to eat up bodies in the middle. It hasn't worked. Your edge rushers haven't been setting the edge the way they're supposed to. So all of that breaks down everything else in the secondary. So this is why Jordan Poyer was 2nd in the NFL in tackles for a non-linebacker. But if we bring it into 2021, Paul, we try to bring everything into 2021. You made a wonderful comparison on the Hall of Fame call that we had prior to coming on live tonight, with the Hall of Fame calls. For if you want to be a member of the Hall of Famers, after you hit the subscribe button, you can hit the join button just below. You compared the linebacker position to the running back position, which you hate. Mm-hmm. You can't stand the running back position, which is, and I just want to bring this point up really quick. We talk about staggering contracts, right? Okay, so when the Buffalo Bills signed Brown and Beasley, they staggered their deals. Why? If you can't sign one, at least you have the other one. That's what you do. What did they do initially when they had Poyer and Hyde? They staggered them initially, and when they extended them, they staggered them when they extended them. Mm-hmm. Okay, the cheapest staggered position that they got was Moss and Singletary. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, we're going to draft these guys in the 3rd round. That's the cheapest position because it's a devalued position.
Mm-hmm.
Going on your point, does the linebacker position now, is that why you say the linebacker, they draft a linebacker?
Yeah. So you're starting to see kind of a shift, and there was a paradigm shift 7 or 8 years ago with the running back position where it became a turn and burn position. Like as soon as the rookie draft pool came out, running backs became, turn and burn. Right.
Who was the guy in Dallas? Who was it? Come on. I forgot his name.
Oh, DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray. Was the
DeMarco
guy.
Murray, where they ran him 800 times in a season. And then they're like, hey, enjoy free agency. Bye-bye. Bye now. But yeah,
enjoy the
DeMarco
Eagles.
Murray. Yeah, he went to the Eagles and the tread was off the tires.
Yes.
So you're starting to see that linebackers are carrying more and more value in the draft because they're carrying less and less value in free agency. Right. And that it's just turning into a position where they want you to run around and smash your head into a wall for 4 years and, 60 to 80% of snaps. And then once that time's up, it's time for them to find another one. Because that's what's happening in the NFL. The linebacker position is becoming more and more valued in the draft because it's becoming less and less valued in the free agency market because the burnout rate on those linebackers is so high. If you look at free agent linebackers, it's those guys that are free agents 1 year are often going to become free agents in year 2, 2 years down the road. It's the way that the NFL is going. The front offices know it. It's a fact. So linebacker being high on Buffalo's radar makes a lot of sense because that's the way the new NFL is. You're going to turn and burn linebackers in a similar fashion to turning and burning running backs. Especially since you change defensive coordinators so often, which is what makes Frazier so weird, right? Mark, how long has Frazier been the defensive coordinator for the Bills now?
Yeah, that's the weird part about the history of McDermott, Frazier, that he was a defensive coordinator for 4 years in Minnesota. Then he became the head coach for 4 years. He just finished his 4th year in Buffalo. This is the first time he's going into his 5th year with somebody. Now, true, you guys could say, well, he was still in Minnesota and became the head coach, but it was a different role. He's in the same role now for the 5th straight season. That's almost unprecedented sometimes. Not since the days of Dick LeBeau and Jimmy Johnson, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. I mean, those guys, the defensive coordinators will last, pretty much a long time, but it was to be with one team that long. It's interesting to see that. It's so interesting with that. But, Frazier, it could be one of those things where, okay, McDermott oversees the defense. So if they lose Frazier as a defensive coordinator, I know we're going off on a tangent here a little bit, but Scott was actually talking about, did he miss our picks for 30? And I said, previously on an episode of Hashtag, we talked about Paul has Buffalo moving up. I have them moving back and acquiring more capital. Mm. But the one thing that we said was that they're not staying at 30. I don't think that they got 6 picks. They're not staying with 6 picks. They're not going to be content with 6 picks because you have 2. I looked at the depth chart on our lads. It's red. The entire chart is red. I'm looking at Feliciano, Williams, Roberts, McKenzie, Winters, Nasecki, Croft, Barkley, Yeldon, Jones. That's just the offense. Okay. Then you got Murphy, Milano, Norman, and Marlowe. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to try to replace? You don't even have a full line at this point. What are we doing? Nope. Cody Ford at right tackle? Who's signing up for that?
Oh, God. Okay, can we talk about that real quick?
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, so I know everybody wants Darrell Williams re-signed, and when you look at it, I think they signed Darrell Williams in the same reason they signed Quentin Spain. There got to a point where you looked at it and you said, why isn't this guy signed? Right? Like Quentin Spain, the Bills signed him because he was a very solid player who just happened to be without a job, and they go, well, all right, and they signed Spain, and that's what cost Wyatt Teller his job. Right? Yeah. They signed Spain and they said, all right, well, you two just slap each other around. We'll see what happens. And if Spain won the job and you trade Teller, people got pissed about that. And understandably so, given Teller's performance. But I don't want to talk about that. But then you sign Darrell Williams and you say, all right, Darrell Williams and Cody Ford, you two slap it out for right tackle. Ford gets, it's so clear that Williams was on another level from Ford.
Oh, yeah.
So early, they're like, all right, let's just make our life easier. Let's move forward into guard before we waste this season of him, right? Because he's only on a 4-year deal. So every year you don't play him, you're wasting that season. So, all right, we'll move you into guard. And then he gets hurt, And now the carousel starts of, the guard play on the Buffalo Bills. But the intent was he was your starting right tackle walking into this season. Then they signed Darrell Williams because for some reason he was without a job. And Darrell Williams played 2018 Darrell Williams football, which is what McDermott was familiar with, right? And saw every day in practice. Yeah. Like, all right, well, this is the guy that I thought he was. But we only had him on a 1-year deal. So it is what it is. That's, we can't re-sign him. We can't re-sign him. The point is that it was so clear Darrell Williams was on another level above Cody Ford, as he should have been, that they recognized immediately that Ford had to move to guard to be productive this season. Yep. That doesn't say anything about Ford's future at right tackle. This coaching staff, in my opinion, is too damn stubborn to not think Cody Ford is still a starting right tackle on this team. I'm sorry. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm going to die on that hill. I'm going to die on that hill. And Spin says Teller got us Diggs. Yes, some of the picks that we got from Teller did go to the Diggs deal, right? So I'm not gonna deny any of that, right? But the fact is that this coaching staff is just simply too stubborn to not think Cody Ford's a right tackle.
That's the thing, though. You're not wrong.
I know.
Cody Ford is your tackle in 2021.
I think so. Yeah, because you do not want to draft any of these tackles coming out.
No.
I don't like any of these tackles in this draft.
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Yeah, not liking any of these guys.
Who do you got under contract? Let's take a look. Okay. Hey, your boy Trey Adams. Your boy.
I like Trey Adams a lot.
All right, he is your offensive version of Dane Jackson. We've already established that in previous episodes. I understand that.
Last year was a good year. Last year was a good year for me.
Yes. Ryan Bates is your floater. You still got Ike Butker there, but it's not a. We didn't even know the guy's name till week 10.
We were pronouncing it incorrectly for 2 years.
We were doing. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine with it. But that's the thing that is so fascinating about the draft to me. Is that what if they draft a defensive end at 30? What if they draft a CB2 at 30? What if they draft a right tackle at 30? Paul, yep. I trust them for secondary. I trust them for defensive tackles. And maybe I'm wrong on that. But minus a Harrison Phillips injury, I liked the production out of Oliver this year. I know a lot of people won't. But I liked what Oliver brought to the table this year. Am I getting torched in the chat probably?
No, Tony B says, so what I hear you saying is they're going to re-sign Lee Smith.
I'm done.
And Joe mentions Trey Adams would be a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft. Yeah, absolutely. Trey Adams needed Yeah, Trey Adams needed a season where he could strengthen up a little bit because he was coming off back-to-back injury years. It was a really bad year for him. You can tell, just didn't have it his senior season. I just wasn't there physically. And I think you're going to see a nasty Trey Adams coming into the 2021 season. That's my under-the-radar player for 2021 is Trey Adams. I think he's going to he might not play, but I think he's going to look a lot different than he would have looked in 2020. So that's what I think. Randy actually brings up something. Let me find it real quick. Randy says Ford is getting a chance at left guard. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I know that I know our buddy over at Break Tables Bills Talk is going to be doing an episode this week on Dawkins, was begging Incognito on Twitter to sign in Buffalo. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Dawkins had a rough year because he was starting next to the trash can that was playing goalie for the Sabres on their off day, right? That's who was playing left guard this year, was whoever was healthy. I get it, right? So I don't blame Dawkins for begging to get a veteran guard in there. But that sounds to me like that's Dawkins begging them not to draft a guard. Like, please don't do that to me again. Please don't put me next to somebody that has to learn the NFL. Please don't do that to me again. And Paul Berg on the Hall of Fame call brought it up and said Dawkins' best year was next to Incognito. He's 100% right. Dawkins' best year was next to Incognito. It was.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying sign Richie Incognito. I'm just saying the writing on the wall tells me that Dawkins is saying, please don't please don't draft a guard.
No, I know.
Please
I
don't
know.
do that to me.
I know. Saying that his best year was with incognito is like saying that my best year in college was sophomore. Should I go back to school? No, that doesn't mean that. Okay, it doesn't really mean that. But I understand what you're saying, though. I mean, he'd be cheap. Was he? You said he was 37, right? 37 years old. That's that ain't young. That ain't young. But he's I don't know. Someone said he's a penalty machine. I don't know who said that. Grendel. He said he's a penalty machine. And, you take what you can. That Raiders line wasn't bad. I mean, that Raiders line was not bad. But you're talking about two different offensive systems, so it's going to be a totally different change for him. I don't understand.
Right.
Sanders is cracking up. But the goal in all of this is that, as we have to try to stay focused, is this: you got the franchise back there. You got the franchise. You got to find a way to keep him upright so you can still continue to put points on the board. He can't be running around, which I saw him do a lot in 2020. I know a lot of it wasn't designed runs, but he was running around, finding guys downfield, and he was doing a bunch of different things. We can go on. We can have a whole episode about that. But the point being is this: you have to try to, as quickly as possible, get a cohesive five up there. That's going to be your start. You can't be mixed and matching these guys all the time because you know what? It messes with the run game. It definitely messes with the run game. Singletary and Moss benefited zero from what happened in 2020, whether it was play calling, whether it was adjustments at the line, whether it was the shuffling of guys. How many different lines did they have up there? It was insane. Mitch Morse is one concussion away from joining Troy Aikman in a booth. So you need something there.
He and Eric Lindros are in a group. God. They're all in a group chat together.
I wouldn't go with Lindros. That's crazy.
Yeah, Aikman, Favre, and Lindros are all in a group chat together.
But I mean, I should.
Favre still doesn't know what nickel coverage is. Well, maybe this is an episode, but you just mentioned Singletary and Moss. The Bills unofficially on Syracuse.com. Ryan Talbot has reported this. I trust Talbot. I think we probably all do. I trust Talbot. He does a really good job. Perino, like if they say it, I'm like, yep, I'm with you. I don't even question. I'm like, yep, that's true. Same with Waro. I think Waro gets a lot of heat because he's snarky. Waro doesn't say anything unless it's like verified. So I trust Waro, but Talbot has it that the Bills have used 10 of their 30 pre-draft visits, 3 of them on running backs.
3
of them. 30% of your draft visits have been on running backs so far.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Devin Singletary losing nearly every snap to TJ Yeldon in the conference championship game. I mean, the writing's on the wall here that running back is still most certainly on the board for Buffalo and not it's at 30. It could be at 30, could be at 60. I'm just saying the running back's still on the board for Buffalo when you're spending, those draft visits on running backs.
Let's take the tin hat approach, shall we?
Sure.
You can't see me, can you?
Yeah, I can see you.
You've closed I thought you usually close the Zoom
I do.
And everything.
Yeah,
but
I do.
Let's just take a step back a little bit to 2017. Because you called this, and it was so interesting, and you mentioned it on an episode a little bit ago when we were in the car. And I loved it. It was phenomenal. It was great. The Buffalo Bills called in Hassan Reddick multiple times when they were looking for a linebacker in that draft.
Yeah. Yep.
Who did they end up drafting in that draft?
Deion Dawkins.
Deion Dawkins, who was in an offseason, as you said, an offseason altercation with Reddick. So taking that thought process,
just to frame that not an offseason, they didn't get into a fight together.
No.
They got arrested together.
Yes, they were together.
Let's just offseason altercation sometimes means they were beefing with no. They were together. Yeah, and they ended up
cough Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, but here's my point. Here's my point with that. They took a approach where they didn't bring Dawkins in at all. They brought Reddick in multiple times. Those guys knew each other. They had their little offseason soiree. So the thing is, if I could give #Nation a homework assignment, it would be to look at the linemen, the offensive linemen for Virginia, Louisville, and Buffalo. Because that's who was blocking for these guys.
Right.
So where you're right is, okay, they could be looking at a running back. The writing could be on the wall for Singletary. That's a totally valid point. I understand that. However, if you take the other approach that would happen previously in a draft where they were looking at these guys, but maybe they were talking to them about their line. Which one of your linemen was your favorite? Did you like running off right tackle, left tackle? Did you like running up the
Mark, I'm just going to throw this out there. You know, if you look at Virginia and Louisville, like Louisville is often a place where you can find some really nice offensive
They run.
talent.
They run.
They run a lot. You can find some really nice talent. And I'm just gonna put it out there. PFF has their 300 prospect big board, right?
Yep.
There's not a single offensive lineman from Virginia or Louisville on there. So this is sometimes you use these visits on the undrafted free agent game, right? Where you're like, okay, so tell us, you know, who is the leader in the room? You know, like you start asking those questions in the visit because you want to learn about how these guys are teammates, but also everybody plays the same undrafted free agent game. And, you know, if you see something on film, you're like, I think this guy's going to go undrafted. And then, you know, you have a recruit that, you know, you bring in one of your 30 visits and they mention that guy. You're like, okay, well, maybe that's one of the first phone calls we make. Yeah. We'll bring him in. It's undrafted free agent game.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's smart to do that. I mean, you talk about, and the three guys we're talking about, I don't know if we mentioned Patterson from Buffalo, Hawkins from Louisville, and Simpson from Virginia. So they could just be like in the room saying a bunch of things. Like, yeah, who was the most vocal guy in the room? And, you know, that's what they look. They look for the leaders. I mean, you talk about they spent a 7th round draft pick on Dane Jackson. He was a captain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he's one of those guys where they like those leaders in the locker room. They like those leaders to step up. And some of these guys just need a shot. You know what I mean? The right system, the right thing, you know, all this other stuff. So, that's what's going to be progressing through it. So they brought in three running backs, 2 wide receivers.
Tara says Antonio Williams, RB1. People, that's the underdog players. People just love.
They do.
You know, Christian Wade doesn't touch the ball unless he's scoring touchdowns. And then you have Antonio Williams, you know, and don't get me wrong, I like Antonio Williams a lot. I think he's a great special teams player for you. And I think he looked at the calls that they had him, the game that he played, the offense was so much simpler, right? Like it's just, they were running packages that were just so much simpler than what they asked Singletary and Moss to run. So I know Williams looked impressive, but there's a point where you're going to get diminishing returns from him, right? Yeah. Is he faster than Moss? Probably a little bit, right? But I don't think you have any game breakers here. Like I'm just gonna be honest. We're gonna address the running back position. I will pay Kenyon Drake $4 million to play here for one season.
Drake?
Yeah, I'd pay him $4 million to come here.
Over Yeldon?
Yeah.
Well, he does have more breakaway speed. I understand that.
Yeah. Well, I memean, look at the front office.
So that's where we're going right now. We're bringing in running backs, but we're gonna sign Kenyon Drake.
Mar, look at that front office. Who's in that front office that's connected to Drake?
You know what? You got a great point on that. You definitely got and for those of you that are wondering why Paul is bringing up Drake, number one, they don't need him. They don't need him in Arizona. They're not going to need him in Arizona. Number one. Number two, like you said, you can get him cheap. Number three, which is the most important part of it, it was a 2nd or 3rd round pick in Miami. Who was down there that made that pick and those decisions was Dennis Hickey and Dennis Locke, who are the 2 guys that are in Buffalo right now, the Moneyball guys that we always refer to. So, I mean, they brought in Frank Gore. They brought in, you know, Jordan Phillips. You know, they brought in former guys that they had, you know, signed and drafted and all this other stuff. So it could be one that could be a possibility, Paul, like more than we think about, because I mean, obviously we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but those 2 guys have been instrumental in getting guys from Miami that have been signed in Buffalo. Why not? See Mario perk up there. Yeah, this and Yeldon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's, as soon as you say something negative about TJ Yeldon, it's like, you could go ahead, tell me about Dane Jackson. Fight me.
No, but it's the funniest about Yeldon because look what happened in the championship game. Who did they trust to carry the ball, and who carried the ball well?
You felt so vindicated, right? No, I was incorrigible when the Bills signed A.J. McCarron. Incorrigible.
You were.
Incorrigible. I talked about it for years. I was like, you know what? A.J. McCarron would be a great fit for Buffalo.
I understand. I mean, I
get it.
I believed in See, I look at it from a coordinator's aspect and a quarterback's aspect, Paul. If you give me Singletary, you give me Yeldon, and you give me Moss, in my mind, what could I do more with? Yeldon's 6'2". He caught more passes than Zay Jones the year that Jones was leading receiver in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So the guy could catch the ball. The guy could do a bunch of different things for you. He's a defensive matchup nightmare in the fact of where you could put him.
Right.
So did I think he was going to be a number one running back material? No, but I thought you could confuse the heck out of a bunch of defenses if you start throwing him around. Mm-hmm. If you split out Moss or Singletary, who are you scaring? You split out a 6'2" running back that can catch the ball like a wideout. That scares people. You putting a linebacker on him? Okay, let's dance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I will agree with you that Drake's speed over Yeldon and breakaway speed is incredibly enticing. But I think it was who brought it up in the chat. I think it was John. It was John. John Marlowe and it was John Marlowe and Scott. Like they were talking about it. Unless this blocking up front, unless the cohesiveness is fixed, you can't put it all on Singletary. You can't put it all on Moss. I don't think you can, because there were so many inconsistencies going on with that line up front that I can remember so many times Singletary getting hit in the backfield, Moss getting hit in the backfield, and it was just there was no chemistry up there. I don't know, however you want to say it. So I just didn't. Yeah. Shmay. So, yeah.
There's you start taking a look at how this is all going to play out, and I just want to bring this up now so that way you guys know about it. Since there's no scouting combine this year, right?
Yes.
The pro days are going to be the only place that these guys could be seen, right? And they are starting now. Kansas had theirs 2 days ago. Okay, so Kansas's pro day was March 5th. They start really on Tuesday. So Kansas State, Northwestern, and Wisconsin Whitewater. They're going on Tuesday, March 9th. Wisconsin Whitewater. There's a college that has literally never been mentioned on the 700 episodes we've cut.
Oh, stop it! I've mentioned them versus Mount Union at the Division III National Championship so many times. Stop it.
But the pro days are starting, right? And they're going to be happening every single day.
Yes.
Really from here until the end of March. So if there's one to really pay attention to, if there's one to really pay attention to, it's Friday, March 26th. Boston College has their pro day. We were talking about with the Hall of Famers that Boston College, that's the big one. There's 2 linebackers on Boston College that you're going to want to pay attention to if you're the Buffalo Bills. Plus they have a tight end who's you'd probably be drafted in the 5th or 6th round. So if there's one that you're going to pay attention to, it's probably Boston College, right? I know Brigham Young's on the same day as South Dakota State. You know, your attention might get different. That look Mario just gave me was, Paul, what are you?
Brigham Young, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Brigham Young is their pro day the same day as Boston College. Don't get distracted.
That's cute.
You're going to draft a guy that can't play for you for 2 years after college. Sure, go ahead. It's like drafting somebody from Navy. Good luck.
A quarterback from Navy?
Yeah, exactly. Good luck.
How many passes did you throw this year? 7. Was it
How many did you complete? 0. How many were past the line of scrimmage? Also 0.
Also 0. So,
but I think it's important to call out no scouting combine this year. So the way that we're going to talk about prospects is going to be in heats. So there may be guys that you want to talk about, but their pro day hasn't happened yet. We can't just wait for the scouting combine like we normally would and kind of be able to give reference points there. They're doing the pro days in heats. So it's going to be crazy this offseason. And the road starts now. Every day there could be a new prospect that's blowing off the page. And then a week from now, you might not hear about them anymore. So just be ready for the hot and cold on Twitter and social media and articles being written. It's going to be just a machine gun of prospect names, total machine gun.
Paul, I got some feedback from Hashtag Nation and a couple other individuals talking about our Selling Buffalo series. That was actually that was a lot of fun to do, and I got some feedback from it. It was actually really, really fun. I got a game we could play that kind of spins off of that.
Sure.
Okay. I want you to give me a position, and I'll give you a position.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say the Bills do pick at 30.
Okay.
Buffalo Bills are picking at 30. You give me a position, and I'll give you a position.
Oof.
And when I give you the position, you got to tell me what, as a front office guy, you would want to hear from this guy that's coming in. What do you want to know about them, and what do you want if they happen to go that position that I give you?
Oh.
So I'm going to give you one, you give me one, and I got to tell you what I want to hear from the position that you give me. You got to tell me what you hear about the position I give you.
Okay, I'm gonna give you corner because I don't want it. Because you would make me defend drafting a cornerback, and I don't want it.
I hate
so
you.
I'm gonna give you corner.
I hate you. You gave me corner. Okay, so I got cornerback. So I have to try to defend. I have to try to tell you what I would want a cornerback to say. I want you to tell me. I so want to go Xavier Su'a-Filo on you right now.
Make me defend a guard.
No. Let me tell you, they're drafting. I'll give you a toss up.
Okay.
Or I'll give you a softball question.
Okay.
They're drafting an outside linebacker.
Okay.
All right. What do you want to hear as the front office? It's like a quick little 30-second thing. Like, what would you want to hear from the linebacker that you're going to draft?
Okay. So I am going to phrase this right, and
Okay.
I'm just going to put it out there. I am 100% convinced that Buffalo is going to fall in love with a linebacker from Ohio State, Pete Werner, right? I think he is the guy that's their 5th, 6th round linebacker. Like, they are going to love him, right? So Buffalo does this thing, right, where they want guys in the defense who aren't necessarily great at one particular item. They are very good at a lot of different things, right? Like, we go back and just look at Trey. Right, you look at Trey in the draft. Trey was 4th cornerback off the board.
Yes.
Right, Trey wasn't the best at anything in that draft class, but he was pretty damn good at just about all of it. Right, so I think from the linebacker group, you want to talk to a guy who's more about understanding his role and responsibility. That's item number 1: role and responsibility. He understands his scheme fit and understands his responsibility. That's number 1. Number 2 is you want a guy who talks about finishing the job. Right. A guy who's willing to come in and be dirty and be heavy and to finish off a play. So those are the 2 key items that if I'm interviewing, these draft day guys and their linebackers, I want to hear a guy that praises role and responsibility and culture. And I want another guy who talks about, who's comfortable, who thrives on being left on an island. Right, at the linebacker role to finish off a running back or to take on that guard at the 2nd level. And, that's what I want. I want ferocity there. And I need somebody who understands their role and responsibility. That's what I want.
So you want aggressiveness at that position that we.
I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
Right. I think you need it. Milano, as good as Milano was, I think we can all say Milano wasn't that aggressive linebacker like you see so often, which is one of the reasons I think they went nickel so much.
Do you think
was
that he
because
wasn't
Milano wasn't
sure
attacking.
what he was doing? He wasn't 110%. Okay, all right. I just didn't know.
No, I don't think that's it. I'm
just saying the description you gave me. You said he was more. I know this sounds funny because we're talking about a linebacker, but he was more reactive than proactive. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't think that when he knew it, he had the killer instinct, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what
right.
you? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Milano wasn't a guy who was going out there and missiling guys. Like, that's not the player that he was, right? He really wasn't ahead of a lot of plays.
No.
And I like Matt Milano an awful lot. I thought he did a great job for you, and you got tremendous value out of him.
You did.
But you got tremendous value out of him.
Whaley did his job. No.
All right, so yeah, when he was healthy.
Oh, Doug Whaley, good job. No, listen,
at least got something right. All right, so
you brought up. I have to try to defend a corner that's
Yep.
drafted. So a corner is drafted at 30. This is a guy who would be a number one corner on about 15 teams in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Okay, Buffalo Bills. I want a guy who played primarily man his entire career, was a bump and run corner. It has, is probably one of the. I would take speed over physicality. Now I'm talking about physicality in the fact of, okay, He's a little hesitant to come up and support on the run,
Mm-hmm.
but he can run with anybody down the field 80 yards. I would take that speed over that. I would take the aggressiveness at the line, hand fighting, bump and run, all that stuff, than a guy that was going to tackle. Because you know what? I got 10 other maniacs that can tackle. I need a guy that can cover. I want a guy who's cocky, that will get in your face and be vocal on the other side across from Trey White, because he's got Poyer and Hyde behind him. That should make him even more cocky. Like, I want him to be that confident in his ability. Like I said, I don't care if he's comes up and tackles, and is super aggressive in the run game, supporting the run game. I'm fine with that. Poyer has proven he can do that. Hyde has proven he can do that. Teron Johnson has proven from the slot he can do that. I want a guy with zero injury history to his legs. None. If he messed up his shoulders, I'm fine. I don't want a guy you have to work on for a year. I don't want any Aaron Colvins, Paul. I don't care. I know you love Aaron Colvin.
Don't give me that.
I loved him. I loved Aaron Colvin. And the Bills, they do that. They love these project guys that had a year off and they come back because it was a year that they didn't get beat up. They were just in rehab. So they know what the struggle is to get back to play. And there's certain to be said about the gumption of a player that has that. I understand that. But I want a speed, top flight corner, because you said the Bills were 9th last year in blitzing. I suspect they're going to do that more because of what the cap is, because of what their draft is, because of who they're able to get. They're not going to generate the same amount of pressure, so they're going to blitz more in 2021. If you want to blitz more, you extend Hyde. You got Trey White on one side. You sign a cocky, fast corner on the other side that loves playing physical, and we're going to go back to the AFC Championship game.
Okay, so you bring up Randy actually brings up a player, Randy Hardman brings up Makuma. No,
no, he said Ramsey after that.
Yeah, there's a corner from South Carolina, junior.
Makuma, 6'4". Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
6'4", 205.
Give me that all day.
205.
Give me
6'4",
him all day.
205. This guy should be running marathons. 205 at 6'4". Come on now.
Give me him all day.
But he's a player that
played in the SEC.
Very, very physical.
Played in the SEC.
Very physical. But he has to play press, right? You can't ask him to play off coverage. He's just not quick enough like that. But he's a 6th round player, right? 5th, 6th, 7th round player. I mean,
okay. Yeah.
But a corner at 6'4". Now think of this division, right?
I love it.
Do you need a physical corner inside this division? Because I know we talk about it all the time. There's 6 games, right? You got to take care of your division. That's 6 games.
Yeah.
Can you play aggressive press man for 6 games out of the year?
Yes.
Do you need it?
Yeah.
You think you do?
I think at this point, the Buffalo Bills know they can contend and win in the East. And they can win ugly games. Google 18-10 versus the Jets. They can win ugly, and they can blow teams out like they did with the Dolphins. 3rd and 4th stringers just running all over the place. I understand. Okay, 2021 is going to be a new year. You can't do that. Okay, I understand it. But they know that they could contend with the division. The problem now is contending in the playoffs.
Right.
Can you run with the Kansas Cities? Can you run with some of these other teams that are going to have these, these barn burner, wide receivers are going to do this, that, and other thing. Okay, give me a guy that has the best 3-cone drill and runs a 4.4. I will take him. I don't care if he does one bench on 225. I don't care. I want somebody that can cover. Can he be a little physical, hand fighting, play that little cat and mouse game at the line? Fine, do that. But I need a guy that can cover, because I'm going to be playing a lot more man, because I'm going to be blitzing a lot more in 2021, because I need to generate pressure.
Well, especially if you're not going to be able to get that defensive end in the draft, right?
Exactly.
There's no defensive end at 30.
Exactly. But that's always the chicken and the egg argument, Paul. You're like, okay, do we draft a defensive end or do we draft a corner? Where do sacks come from? Do sacks come from the secondary or do they come from the pressure up front? You know what I mean?
Right.
Do interceptions, are they caused by generating pressure up front or good coverage? You know what I mean? It's so, to me, that's what if I'm drafting at 30 and I'm going to be stuck at 30, quote unquote, stuck at 30, I want a number 1 corner, because you know what, all the teams above Buffalo, not a lot of them are going to be going after corners, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. Maybe.
Look at that. Elvis comes in. Georgia cornerback Eric Stokes, 6'1", a buck 85, 425, 41 and a half, 131 broad. Little on the light side. I'm fine with that though. I'm fine with him being a buck 85, but I
You're
hold
going to be checking all those stats March 17th. That's
Yes.
Georgia's pro day,
Yeah.
March 17th.
and a lot of teams are going to be struggling before that day because that's the new league year. Because a lot of those new contracts come in the first year. So teams might.
Yeah, I like the way you think,
There you
Mario.
go.
I like the way you think.
Yo.
So just highlight that real quick. Explain what exactly that means.
So that means that the new year for the football season is not the same as the new year of the year. So basically, in March 17th, the new league year starts. It means all those contracts get fully guaranteed that some of those players have signed in the past. Beware, so the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Some of those guys might be going, "You're gone." That totally remakes what's going to happen with some of those players and with some of those franchises. So those salary caps might be a little bit out of whack,
right?
The salary caps might be a little bit out of whack after that. But that's the thing; you have to be very conscious of those facts. Paul always talks about the dates. I mean, when we go driving next week, Paul's going to have. We're going to be talking about dates, about the new league year, what happens, pro days, and all this other stuff. So, I hold a very special place for guys that play corner in the SEC because you're going against the best of the best, in my opinion. So if you're a cornerback in the SEC, I don't know about putting a Georgia guy across from an LSU guy, but with Tre'Davious White and Eric Stokes, I don't know how they'll get along in the meeting room.
Listen, Levi and Trey have gotten along just fine. Okay.
Yeah, everyone throws at Levi.
Yeah, Trey loves it. He's like, I'm sorry, contract extension? All right.
I don't know. You still got that roll tide on the opposite side of me? Sweet. Let's do it. March 24th, South Carolina Pro Day. Several Bills potential. Yep, absolutely, Randy.
Yep.
So, Paul, so much for a half hour, dude.
I know, right? We should probably wrap this up.
Yes, we should.
We got to record some episodes for this week.
We do. We do got to do that. Also, guys, thank you for the love and support on the shorts. The shorts are really, I've watched. I haven't done one myself yet, but Paul's been hammering out those shorts. Please show your love for those shorts. They're actually really, really good. Little 60-second clips here and there of things you can look up, things you can find out, and a little bit of information here and there. I want to thank Paul for that, for dropping that on you guys, because that's pretty awesome. I'm going to start dropping mine this week as well. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over 3 players at each position that you could just take a look for that really aren't popping off the page for everybody. Like obviously the big names that everyone talks about. They're going to be other guys that are kind of like under the radar, and some guys, wait, this guy is from what? Southwest Missouri State, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that may fit a mold of who the Bills might go after, but with everything intertwined with the shortened season, with not being able to see a lot of players out, a lot of players, recovering from injury and stuff like that. So it's going to be very, very tough to try to see who the Bills exactly will pick up, but we're going to give you guys some names that you might want to look for that might be under the radar in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round as far as that goes. So we're going to be doing those. As always, in the description of this video, check out Mr. Rogers Homes, the top 1% realtor. Sean, if you were thinking about moving out to Arizona, Sean's your guy you want to talk to. Tell him Paul and Mario sent you. As well as if you want to become one of the hashtag heroes, we like Paul said, we just got off the call with the Hall of Famers right before we went live tonight. The join button's right next to the subscribe button. So after you hit subscribe, you can hit join as well. So, Paul, anything else that you would like to bestow upon the wonderful members of hashtag?
No, thanks, man. It's been a while since we did a live stream. I know during the season, this is kind of the regular. But we'll be back in the car next week, and anything you guys need. Yes, JJ Watt used Mr. Rogers Homes. Yeah, look, whoops.
I'm done.
Whoops.
That's the best thing ever. Oh my God.
Whoops.
We ain't drafting a quarterback. We know that much. Yes,
yeah.
Terrace.
Yeah, that's true.
That's amazing. All right.
Yeah, no, it's thanks everybody. Have a great week. You'll see episodes in the car next week. We'll cut a couple episodes like this, but we'll be in the car next week. And anything that you guys want, player breakdowns, anything like that. If you're a hashtag hero, there's a specific player you want to see a breakdown on, hit up the community tab, find a post on there, and just drop the player that you want to hear about. And the different levels of membership, you'll get those videos. So
Absolutely, no question. All right.